Hey guys, it's another video here with Flying Independence Outbreak, and had my first flying lesson toward my CFI today. So we've been talking about this on the channel for a minute, and I know I've been dark for a little while doing my day job, contracting, and now it's the 2nd of January, and so I contacted a local flight school about a year ago, and they assigned me an instructor, and that instructor actually called me about a year back, I guess back in February or so, and we made some plans and whatever, and then COVID hit, so I never actually got to fly with him. But the flight school got my all my information that they're required to collect now, passport and firstborn and date of birth and all that nonsense. So I called him back now that I'm back in the States and said, hey, I'm ready to get my flight review and start my CFI. And so they set me up with the same instructor. Apparently, he's one of maybe two instructors this flight school has that has the 2 years of CFI experience and 200 hours of CFI time. And this guy's been doing it forever. But those are the requirements to teach a new CFI. So this guy called me a couple weeks ago when I scheduled the flight to kind of make sure I showed up. So I mean, this is one of those things where if you schedule to fly with an instructor, then show up. Apparently, he had had a whole string of people that scheduled time, either no called, no showed, or canceled last minute, or whatever. So he just wanted to make sure I was going to show up, and I said, yeah, I'll definitely be there. So I actually showed up early this morning. We were scheduled for 10. I showed up at about 9:20, 9:25, something like that. Turns out I had a bunch of paperwork that the flight school wanted me to do again, so the timing was perfect. And then he ran a little bit long with his previous student. He's teaching somebody instrument, so their debrief went a little bit longer than expected. That's fine. It didn't bother me. I've got nothing better to do today. But the weather was crap. So we were looking at, minimum pattern altitudes here at SPG, St. Petersburg, Whitted. So we ended up not going flying. And that's okay. That happens. And I almost enjoy that to a certain extent. It gives me time, whether I'm the instructor or the student, to get some good ground instruction with the instructor. And we did. We had a really good conversation for about the entire scheduled period. I had signed up for 2 hours, and we sat there and talked for about 2 hours. And this is one of the things that I'm huge on as an instructor. Again, if you've watched the channel, prior military instructor pilot, I'm a huge believer in getting to know your student, getting to know their background, getting to know their instructional style, how they learn. And a huge part of that is knowing what your student's prior experience is. A lot of instructors don't do that. And I have a big problem with that. You have to know where your student started from and what their background is to be able to teach them at the appropriate level. So this guy literally sat there and shot the shit with me for 2 hours, and we told all old flying stories. He showed me a video of an engine out that was caught by a boater off the end of the runway at SPG. He was the pilot, or he was the instructor pilot, had a student in the seat, and they lost their engine on takeoff, and he got it back to the airport. It wasn't on runway, but he got it safely on the ground. No one was injured, and got it back onto the airfield. And this was a great discussion. He got to know what my flying background was, because mine is unconventional. I mean, as you guys know, I flew unmanned for a long time. I was a navigator for a while. So I've been in the air for the last 20 years, but I took my last check ride in 2006. So to an instructor who doesn't take the time to do this, to understand the background of their student, that sounds like I haven't been flying for 14 years. And I'm going to need a lot of time to knock the rust off and learn these commercial maneuvers again and get back into civilian manned aviation. So I'm all about that. I realize that's going to take some time and effort. But at the same time, he's not going to teach me like a guy that has been completely removed from aviation for 14 years. And I really appreciated that. I'm totally willing to pay for this time that I spent with this instructor pilot today. He's doing what I would do. He is taking the time to get to know his student and to develop a training plan for, unique to me. That is a huge piece for me. That is a great confidence booster that this instructor, this CFI, the CFII, is going to teach me in the way that I would teach students. At the same time, we talked about what I need to become a CFI. And one of my big questions for him, maybe an hour into the brief, was, "Hey, sir, I get we can't fly today. That's okay." And it was really because the weather cleared up, but it wasn't soon enough because the plane was booked after us as well. We couldn't take off and do anything meaningful before we had to be back to hand the plane to the next crew. I said, "What do I need to do to prepare for the next one? What homework do you have for me?" And he was right there. He told me, "Hey, I want to know if someone showed up, you're an instructor, somebody shows up off the street and says, 'What do I need to do to become a private pilot?'" He said, "Go into part 61 of the FAR, research all the requirements." And I mean, he even pointed this out. Everybody knows the 40 hours. Oh, I can show up to the airport and become a private pilot in 40 hours. Well, he wanted me to draw on my own experience. He said, "How long did it take you to solo?" And I pulled open my logbook and I said, "Well, it looks like it was 10.2 hours or something close to that." Well, that's above average, but, not everybody's going to do that. I said, "Okay." And he said, "When did you go for your check ride?" And I flipped to a different page and I said, "Well, doing the math, I was at 48.2 hours or something. I don't remember the numbers right now. And he said, "Well, that's above average too." He said, "Did you do all that at once?" And I said, "No, I actually kind of spread it out over a couple of years when I was 16, 17 years old. But at the very end, I doubled down. I took a loan from my parents, got everything knocked out right before I went to college." So he said, "Drawing on your own experience," he said, "I want you to come up with a lesson plan for me as if you're teaching some guy that walked in off the street and said, 'I want to be a private pilot. What do I need to do?'" So that's my homework for the next 12 days, because that's the next time this flight school has an opening with an airplane and that instructor. That's my homework for 12 days. So I'll probably go over that a little bit. But I've got to research and dig deep into Part 61 and make sure I know exactly what is required and be able to ask this guy's questions, because I don't think he's going to be easy on me. So this is what I'm looking for. I want to have somebody driving me to dig into the regs, dig into the stuff I'm going to need to know for my instructor oral exam, which he told me. He said it's usually at least a 4-hour ordeal, where that examiner is just asking you stupidly technical questions about the FARs. I mean, by the time you get to this point, everybody knows you know how to fly an airplane. But do you know the regs? Do you know what the responsibilities of a certificated flight instructor are? And that's the stuff I got to dig into. So that's my homework for the next few weeks. Keep coming back here. I hope I'll be posting more on this channel. I have my GoPro, my Garmin Verb Ultra ready to go. Plan to film every lesson and hopefully get some audio on it as well. But until next time, this is Flying Independence. Outbreak out.